Have you ever, when you're driving, had the impulse to steer your car into oncoming traffic? Or maybe at the top of a building had the impulse to see if you could jump off? Now, I'm not talking about suicidal tendencies, believe it or not. I know that's going to surprise you. But actually, I'm talking about weird impulses that we sometimes have. And I find this fascinating. I happen to live on the 14th floor of a 16th floor building, and the 14th floor, as you can see, is it's a long way down. A beautiful view on the one side, but a really long way down. And I have to admit that whilst it's been a very long time since I've ever had the desire or the impulse to steer my car into oncoming traffic, I have sort of had the impulse to fly. Maybe a bit like Neo just flies in the Matrix, or, Superman. So what's that about? And that's actually the right question, is what's that about? It's not about just following the impulse. Of course, it would be incredibly destructive to steer into oncoming traffic or to see if you can fly off the edge of a 14th floor building. So why then are we talking about impulses? Surely we should just deny them. We should go, no, nothing to do with that. And the reality is that we constantly can get information from these things. Maybe subconsciously years ago I was suicidal with this idea of driving into oncoming traffic, although when I think about it, there's no ways I'd want to harm anybody else. So it makes no sense. But this impulse to fly, what if that's actually about a desire for freedom? What if that's actually about a deep-seated desire for some form of liberty or soaring or magic or whatever? I don't know. And this is why we need to be aware of our impulses, not to follow them. I mean, we live in a world where so much harm has been done by the following without thought of impulses. So we need to be very, very aware of the danger of that, and that's not what I'm advising at all. But what I am noticing, and a few of my clients are starting to talk about this a lot, is that when they have, for example, zero conflict in their lives because they are denying their impulses to engage in robust conversation, every now and then what actually happens is they burst out at the other extreme, and they're never at this inner peace where you've got constructive conflict. Okay, so sometimes denying our impulses results in us going extreme on the impulse in a way that is harmful to ourselves and others. And that's what we want to avoid. How are we going to avoid it? By tuning in. What do I mean by tuning in? Well, there's a lot of fine tuning in that has to happen. Because, for example, I had another client I was discussing with one day, and I was talking about I wanted to tune into my body to be more aware of my body's nutritional needs. And she was sort of horrified. She said, oh, but surely all you're going to end up doing is following your cravings. And that's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to tune in to say, what's actually going on? What is my body actually asking for? Maybe I'm just thirsty and I just need some water. It's not really a craving. Or maybe I need to pay some emotional attention to myself. It's not a nutritional craving or a nutritional desire. It's actually something else. And we need to be able to tune in to impulses, cravings, desires, intuitions. And that will give us a full life. Not to just blindly follow them, but to actually tune in for the benefit of a deeper understanding of ourselves, new growth points. And in fact, I'm going to add one little thing here, and that is that recently been working with another one of my clients where the realization is that there is a disconnect between deepest, truest self, or what I call essence, and daily lives and activities. And so this is a way of tuning in to those essence things by tuning in to the signals that are coming from our bodies, not to be the slave to them, but in fact, to truly master them. So our quote for this week comes from The Matrix, and it's where Mouse says, to deny our impulses is to deny the very thing that makes us human. And I would want to put it to you that these deeper impulses make us human. And tuning into them and finding their message could make us superhuman.